I've been lied on, spied on, tried on, take for a ride, you bet. Right, crack, smack, jack, what you see is what you get. I've been spit at, hit at, quit at, shit at, certain how to fit at, what I'm trying to get at. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, put the blame on me. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Howdy, folks. Darren Rayfield and So here talking about work compensation, or labor and industries as we call it here in the state of Washington. Today's topic is Social Security and Social Security work comp offsets, and how injured workers are set up for failure both by the state and the federal government with overpayments that they come after people like 3 years after the work comp offsets are settled for back pay overpayments when they were the ones who did the math. For people like me who have GEDs and had nothing to do with the math and were forced to be pro se litigant to a point that it drove them insane. And yet, even after LNI gives you a state pension, it's supposed to resolve the issue, and you're supposed to be done and settled and not have to litigate it. Because the whole reason everybody gave you Social Security and workers' comp to start with is because you had mental health conditions due to the fact that they were over litigating you and litigating me to death. Yet, every since 3 years since I was settled, and I was supposed to be settled since 2016, but they settled me in 2018. The SSDI judge said he would have went all the way back to 2011, but could only go back to 2013 on the back pay. But nonetheless, we got settled at one point, and I thought we were done. And about a year and a half later, while I was in jail for work comp issues with the judge, Social Security was coming after me for a $20,000 overpayment and the offset. And it was just like, well, I had nothing to do with the offset. I had nothing to do with the math. And ended up, after a long, lengthy appeal of about 8 or 9 months, and after I had been gotten out of jail, I had to stress and worry about this appeal. They ended up giving me like $17,000 and said they owed me money, which was shocking to me because I thought this was all supposed to have been resolved in the work comp offset. So I thought, fine, we're done. I can go back to trying to live some kind of life and get to heal some. Nonetheless, a year and a half later, like 3 years after settlement, they come after me and say, now you owe $20,000 for you were overpaid in the work comp offset. Your kids were overpaid, not you, but my kids. And so I can't declare bankruptcy on it or anything, and the kids can't. But they're going to take the money from. So it's kind of frustrating because I feel I was set up as an injured worker by the state and the feds and by the so-called state work comp offset unit, which is misleading because they don't really do anything with the work comp offset. They apparently don't do it so that you're not ending up with overpayments and you don't even know about them until 2 or 3 years later, and they're coming after you for these overpayments. So today what I'm going to share with you is how I have reached out to my LNI pension manager to resolve this issue, and how I feel that my human rights have been violated by the state by trying to cost shift me off to the feds, and the feds then use the state patrol to try and investigate us and continue evaluate us and do CDRs for men and women that have pensions, and we're told they have lifetime pensions and no longer to worry about. I feel the state itself is violating my human rights when they cost shift us off to the feds instead of honoring the grand bargain to start with, and then the feds then are upset because we're cost shifted off to them, and then they use the cooperative state investigative units to go after the men and women that have the pensions and use our state patrol to try and undo the Social Security that we have. It's kind of frustrating. One hand, it's frustrating. Anyways, what I'm going to share with you is how the work comp or Social Security judge said he gave no legal weight to the State Patrol's investigation. And what I'm asking is if these State Patrol officers are allowed to lie in these investigations to try and deny us our SSDI, which was clearly done, why isn't the state going after these people and policing these people so that they're not used as tools to try and rob from us when we're told we have lifetime pensions, and yet our State Patrol is used to try and take away our SSDI? So anyways, I'm going to let you hear what the judge had to say in regards to him giving no legal weight to these investigations because these officers have no sniffers and they have no x-ray vision and they're not doctors. And so it's harmful to our mental health. And this whole litigation process from Social Security, since I was told 3 years ago on LNI that I have a lifetime pension, and I was also told that they would pay me $500 less a month if I would buy an annuity from them, that my wife would be taken care of when I die for till she dies for a certain amount of money. If I would take $500 a month less, so I'm sold another insurance product based on the fact that I will never be viably employable again, and the state knows that, and also the feds know that because the judge said that. Yet I am continually litigated against and harassed with overpayments and threats of CDR evaluation, which is disability review evaluation or whatever. When I was, it's bad faith insurance is what it comes down to on the state's part when they cost shift us off to these other people and then go to use the state patrol to keep sticking our nose in our shit. When the other ones told us you're supposed to go relax and sit in the corner and no longer have to litigate. When it's he who has himself for a lawyer has a fool for an attorney, and they say that for a reason. And that's why the judges very clearly see what's going on here is inhumane and it's wrong. And the judges have rendered me some good decisions and some favorable decisions because they've looked at the evidence throughout my history. And yet we have people and the system rigged and set up against the people who are truly speaking out and truly telling the truth and having people totally lie to try to deny us our benefits all throughout the process. The IME doctors, your HMO doctors, and then like the state patrol even can lie. And then you even have your lawmakers lying, just like Senator Bernie Sanders and Patty Murray, who told us we need some minimum federal standards over Washington State's broken state work comp systems in 2015, yet have remained silent ever since then as people like me and whistleblowers like me have begged of them to speak up and even called out to my local precinct Democrat captain, Jason Call, who runs as a Berniecrat, for help, and only to be told to go away with my issue. I'm sorry, this harms my mental health. This whole process is not helping. So what I'm going to share with you is how the judge said he gives no legal weight. And I'm going to share with you how I sought help from my pension manager, and his response back is to tell me that my beef is with SSDI, not with the state. I'm sorry, my beef is also with the state and with both people when the feds are using the state patrol to try and still take away my benefit. So I will show you what my pension manager had to say about it, and my phone call and how he responded back to me after me asking him about these allegations of bad faith. Insurance is what it boils down to, and my human rights being violated by the state itself and the feds together working in co-conspirators to rig the deck against injured workers in our laborers' grand bargain if we stand up and fight for it and try to. So I'll let the facts speak for themselves, and I think we'll just leave it at that. And then I will end with a pension video from the state of Washington that one of the lawyers have put out. It shows how it's a bunch of goons and goblins that stop you from getting to your benefits. And I have to say myself, and I know a lot of other injured workers on pensions, weren't headed for the pensions. We were headed for vocational services and trying to be helped when we were hurt and harmed on the job. And instead of being taken care of, we were put through a gauntlet of hell, and our noses put through shit for 8 years in my case, of hell instead of help. And then judges saw that, and even after the judges try to help you and render the good decisions for you, you still have a bureaucracy and people within that bureaucracy utilizing their positions to try and harm and punish those they think shouldn't have their entitlement. And it's wrong when those people aren't held to account. If the injured workers lies throughout the process, we get in trouble. That's why I like to say that we catch them stealing our candy bars. We have to follow these appeals of work comp and SSDI. They get told to make right, but nobody ever gets in trouble for trying to lie to deny the injured workers start. They can catch you at something, we go to jail. So let's let the facts speak for themselves. And like I said, myself, I was never headed for the pension. I only wanted to get number one fixed, number two vocational services, because I was at no longer could go back to the 50-pound job that it required, and I needed training to go into some other job, which I was duly entitled to, and they never wanted to render. And that's what it comes down to, is where the state itself is designing vocational services. because they privatized the vocational services and are no longer rendering those services to people over 39, and nobody's telling us that. And you're being put through a gauntlet, and a lot of people forced into homelessness, other ones not given pain meds. And when we speak up and blow the whistle, we're basically called delusional, and then no one ever. So, anyways, like I say, I wasn't actually out for the pension, but that's what I ended up with, and I had to accept that at the end because I had no lawyers, and the state was basically supposed to be my lawyers because I put in an ADA request because I have mental health conditions, and I shouldn't be being forced to be my own lawyer, and they agreed, and they granted me a prima facie case in lieu because of my ADA request for mental health conditions. And then yet here the federal government continues to force me to be my own lawyer through overpayments and CDR evaluations, and me having to deal with continual litigation when the whole reason the judges rendered me their decisions was because you can't continue to litigate human beings in this manner and expect them to not come out the other side of it unaffected. And I'm going to leave it. So injured workers aren't going to be gold diggers. We're actually just going to be helped when we're harmed on the job and then get put into a gauntlet, which you have to fight. And here's the kicker. The businessmen in the business community, and one of the people running for office locally told me, and he was a businessman, said that the business community knows that 48 out of 50 workers don't fight back. They give up. So the whole premise is based upon that 48 out of 50 of us will give up on our rights and our human rights and our labor's bargain. I'm sorry. I'm 2 out of the 50 is telling you, no, you don't get to violate my human rights in this manner. Thanks, and have a good day, and I hope you enjoy the fact.
From the Office of Disability Adjudication and Review, Social Security Administration ODAR Seattle office. The following is what Michael C. Blanton, administrative law judge, had to say in his fully favorable notice of decision in Darren Fonso's SSDI case. I give little weight to the report completed by the Cooperative Disability Investigations Unit. The observations of the claimant during their interview are inconsistent with the observations of the above medical and mental health professionals. The assessments of the state agency's psychological consultants are given little weight because other medical opinions are more consistent with the record as a whole, and evidence received at the hearing level shows that the claimant is more limited than they determined. Dated October 17, 2017.
First saved voice message from telephone number 360902508. Received yesterday at 3:23 p.m.
Hey Darren, this is Darren McDonald from L&I. Haven't spoken to you in a while. Just calling to see what's going on. Looks like you sent in the mail and some secure messages here recently. I have not responded most of them because it seems to concern the Social Security Department, not your L&I claim. So I apologize if you were expecting a response from me, but I'm calling now. So when you talk about something, go ahead and give me a call back. 360-902-5119. Ask for Derek McDonald. It should be good to go that way. Otherwise, just go ahead and send us your message. I'll try and look out for it and go that route as well. But yeah, please get back to me if you need to. Again, all of your complaints and everything here seem to be centered around the Social Security Department. As we've talked about before, there's really nothing I can do with that. They're a complete separate entity. There's not a state entity, it's a federal entity. And so if you have some sort of beef with them, it has to continue to be with them. There's nothing I can do or say to anything about it. So hope you're having a better day. Thanks. Bye.
To repeat.
Job injuries in the state of Washington are handled by the Department of Labor and Industries. When L&I closes a claim, it makes a decision about settlement. Some injured workers get PPD money in settlement, some get no money, and some get a pension. What is this L&I pension?
This pension is a lifetime monthly payment for a serious on-the-job injury that prevents you from working at any job. If you might qualify for a pension, you need to check it out. A pension can change your life.
This is not the same as a retirement pension. This is not a gift from your employer for years of service. It is a lifetime payment for a career-ending injury. This is the best benefit available in the L&I system. Pension payments are roughly equal to time loss payments. However, pension payments last for the rest of your life. Most people have never heard of L&I pensions. L&I does not advertise them. They are not easy to get. Less than 2% of all L&I claims end up in a pension. The road to a pension is long and difficult. You will be met along the way by many who would like to see you fail. Claim managers, employers, vocational counselors, and IME doctors all will attempt to block your path to a pension. In order to qualify for a lifetime payment pension, you must show that the residuals of your injury permanently incapacitate you from performing work in any gainful occupation.
Said another way, to get a pension, you must be unable to work at any job. In addition, there are 4 more things you need. A good doctor who will provide favorable written reports and continue to help you when the going gets rough. A good attorney, because few people get pensions without one. Good facts about the vocational aspects of your case. And staying power, because if they try to starve you into settling cheap, you need to be able to survive while your case goes on.
If you are successful in getting a pension, you can customize it.
A pension normally lasts for the life of the injured worker. It can be made to last for the life of both the injured worker and the injured worker's spouse. While such a change involves a reduced rate, that pension will last until both you and your spouse have passed away.
It's also possible to pass a pension on to a child for a limited time, usually until the age of 18 or to 23 if the child is in school full-time. You cannot receive both a PPD settlement and a pension. If you are awarded a settlement, you can appeal that decision and try to win a pension. If successful, you can keep the more valuable pension and pay the settlement back. If you return to work while holding a pension, you will most likely forfeit that pension. Most pensioners lose their medical benefits at claim closure. However, you can do something about it. You can get a pension and medical benefits by getting a treatment order. If you want a pension with a treatment order, talk to an L&I lawyer.
Okay, let's summarize. A pension is equivalent to time loss payments for the rest of your life. It is the best L&I benefit. If you can't work, you need to talk to an L&I lawyer about getting you a pension.
For a more detailed explanation of pensions or to contact our office, please visit sharplawfirm.org.
Don't misinterpret the message of the vocal injured worker as that of unstable minds. The expectation of these few outspoken folks is that the work comp system would treat them fairly, without discrimination, and that they would be provided services to assist their return to normalcy. Allah's World Thoughts and Impressions on Workers' Compensation and Life. Thursday, October 2, 2014. Work comp and baseball. I was watching the Oakland's versus the Kansas City Royals game on television the other night. Kansas City tied up the game and I went to bed so I could write this blog in the morning, and good thing, the game remained tied until the 12th inning where the Royals scored the winning hit at the bottom of the inning, far past my bedtime. The player securing the win for the Royals, Salvador Perez, had 6 at-bats but didn't hit anything until his last when he knocked in a single. In fact, his prior at-bat he whiffed so bad even I could tell the pitch was way outside the zone. My buddy, a baseball aficionado, explained to me the next day, baseball is a game based on failure. A great hitter hits .300. He fails 7 out of every 10 attempts. The odds are so great against the batter in baseball that hitting a pitch less than a third of the time is considered great. Sometimes it seems that workers' compensation is like a batter in baseball. The odds of a positive outcome seem so enormous that when one occurs it's great. Workers' compensation, like baseball, requires a big team. There's the sale, i.e. brokers. There's policy underwriting and administration, people that consider the risks and price coverage accordingly. There's the employer, which precipitates work comp in the first place. Doctors are needed to treat, attorneys bring and manage disputes. Claims administrators are necessary to keep the claim moving. There are a whole host of other providers performing all sorts of other specialty services. Batting point 300. And then of course there's the injured worker. More often than not, of course, the injured worker gets taken care of. Yes, there are way too many cases that are wrongfully denied, where treatment is inexcusably delayed, where benefits should be provided but aren't, but most of the time, likely far more than 80% of the time, a claim moves relatively smoothly through the process. There are, however, claims that are difficult from the very outset. Sometimes we hear about them, but most of the time we don't. The ones that we do hear about get dismissed from our conscience too easily because the melodrama in their vocalization of what's wrong gets drowned by our own jaded pessimism. These cases, though, are real. There are real people behind these cases. People get hurt. People get toyed with. People don't get what is needed, what is promised in the grand bargain, and set aside as disturbed and having unrealistic expectations. Some contact me because of this blog, seeking answers, help and remedies. I have met some, like Linda Ayers. I won't get into Linda's case here, that's not the point. Linda is vocal, like a few other injured workers. She has a blog, she is active in social media, she posts comments to this blog. And she probably drives the defense crazy as she is prolifically passionate about making sure the system works for her and for other injured workers. It's easy to dismiss Linda's activities as the rantings of an unstable person, but she is not an unstable person. She is a person whose case spiraled out of control from the beginning, and we know that the early stages of a claim are the most critical. There's Darren Fonzo and Cecilia Watt, more vocal injured workers seeking stabilization of their claims, timely payment of benefits and authorization of medical treatment. Darren writes prolifically, adding a comment to this blog nearly every post, supporting me sometimes, excoriating me sometimes, but always visible, seeking answers, questioning actions. Cecilia isn't as prolific, but she is vocal nonetheless. These are the folks that stepped up to the plate and got delivered lousy pitches, swing and a miss. At some point there will be 3 strikes and they'll be out and the next batter will step up. On rare occasions they'll be walked, and off they go to first base, hoping for subsequent base hits to drive them home. But we know that baseball is a game of failure. Work comp shouldn't be. Yes, most claims terminate successfully. The claims that don't are in the minority. We think of claims as numbers and forget that people are behind these claims. They're easier for us to deal with emotionally when they are just numbers, and I understand that. I was a defense attorney for many, many years and have had my share of dealing with pro-per claimants. Don't misinterpret the message of the vocal injured worker as that of unstable minds. The expectation of these few outspoken folks is that the work comp system would treat them fairly, without discrimination, and that they would be provided services to assist their return to normalcy. It's easy to tell these folks to move on, to not live their claims. Until you live their claim, though, you wouldn't understand. The great Jerry Spence, one of the most celebrated trial lawyers of all time and founder of a trial lawyers college, teaches the experiential method of trial presentation. That is, the lawyer is simply a storyteller. How can one tell the story well unless he or she lives the story for a week, steps into the shoes of the plaintiff to actually see and feel how an injury has affected the person's life? Before dismissing the vocal few, and there are quite a few, more than you might expect, hear their stories. Yes, there's the other side. There always is another side of a story. Sometimes we fail to listen to both sides of the story though. Telling is easy. Listening is hard. In baseball, the manager of the team listens to each and every player and watches carefully how the game unfolds. Even when the game goes sideways, the manager doesn't want to pull the pitcher, but sometimes a reliever must be brought in to get the game back on track. And at some point the game comes to an end, usually without going into overtime. When a game does go into overtime, the players must also go into overtime. That means working harder to get a conclusion.
I used to pull my britches on with just one thing in mind. Make the girls believe that I'm one of my kind. Silver toe tips on my boots and a mullet-headed hair. All designed to walk into a room, make somebody stare, and I don't care anymore. If I don't stand out in a crowd, I was better off therefore. I tried to make my mother proud. Came to town dreaming I could make my mark in space. 40-odd years later, all my best cards have been played. It's a hard knock situation when all the accolades bestowed. Every last creation lies out middle of the road. I don't care anymore about the fortune or the fame. I was better off before. I tried to make myself a name. All that money that I blew through like some boot black off the farm. Could not have vanished quicker if I'd have shot it in my arm. Some so-and-so says, don't you know that limit is the sky? Next thing I remember, I was running hell just like, but I don't care anymore. All those party dolls and favors that I saved from day one end up next to nothing after all is said and done. The real friend tried to tell me, man, with all respect it's true. Time to put away these things that's long since overdue. And if indeed I do get lonesome in my mansion on the hill, there's his neighbor's wife I covered for her beauty and her skill. The way she puts herself together, thinking vagabond could show, makes each mailbox conversation one more heartache to endure. But I don't care anymore. Who does what and why? I was better off before, when I was just another guy. I've been lied on, spied on, tried on, take for a ride, you bet. Fracked, cracked, smacked, jacked, what you see is what you get. I've been spit at, hit at, quit at, shit at, shooting her to fit at, what I'm trying to get at. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, put the blame on me. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.